Louise, I'll just start off by asking you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Louise Howson, I'm Managing Director of VST Venues. So do you want me to introduce a little bit about who VST Venues are? Yeah. So we started life in 2007 as virtual sales team, and we were an appointment setting and lead generation agency. Quite soon into our journey, we picked up a quite large client who wanted to use our call centre staff, for want of a better word, to book private site venues for charity fundraisers. And we realised that our sort of unique recruitment model in-house, which is part-time workforce, flexible around whether it be school hours or education or running other businesses, was actually perfect for booking private sites for fundraisers, because it elevated the age of the person that was on the phone, the maturity, the empathy, and they were really able to connect with the charities that we were booking into the stores. So that relationship went really well, but was worked under a tight exclusivity until the pandemic. Since the pandemic, we have actually now pivoted the business and taken that particular proposition out to market, and now we are VST Venues. So we book venues for primarily for fundraising teams, but for field marketing agencies that either want to acquire new donors for charity clients or promote their commercial products and acquire new customers face to face.
Okay, and it was during that process where you'd just done the pivot and you sort of started on the journey that Andrew contacted me, and then we started this engagement. So in your mind, before engaging with me in the Value Builder system, what were the primary concerns and challenges that you guys had?
I would say the concerns, I guess, that we had, I don't know whether this is covered by another question, but one of the reasons that we chose Value Builder, I think, was because we were conscious that we had a fantastic opportunity to create a new business out of VST Venues, and we had the opportunity to set it up in the right way. We both as directors had listened to the Value Builder, the Built to Sell podcasts, and really enjoyed them and the methodology behind it, and felt that this was our opportunity to build VST Venues with value in mind, really, and make sure that we did it in the right way. We'd learned lessons in the past over, what works and what doesn't work, but having that systemized value builder was really attractive to us. So I guess as we kind of went into VST Venues, our primary concern was getting things right, doing things in the right way, systemizing things properly, and being able to achieve growth that didn't necessarily rely on the directors.
Okay, and when you first engaged with me, I explained the format, which is obviously you're given a module to do. Yourself and Andrew, the owner, and you watch the videos. There are normally 3 or 4 videos. Then you go off and do an exercise, and then we apply it to the business, and then we have a consultancy. How did you find that system? How did you feel about that system that we use?
I'm really engaged with it, actually. I think that the modules are short enough to be engaging. They're full of really relevant content, but actually they were also at the same time in depth enough to really provoke thoughts about what we are doing in the business and how we're doing it. And each one of them introduced something new to us as well, which was fantastic, and something new to think about. And we would go away and have our own thoughts about it and have exercises within the software to kind of ratify our own thoughts around it. But then actually having the consultancy sessions afterwards we would quite often, those thoughts might change, you know, hearing your opinion on the results that we'd got, you know, that I think was really valuable. I don't think one would have sat well without the other. I think
Okay,
complemented each other very well.
great. Can you give us, you know, the some examples of how you feel that the system and the consultation impacted the business, especially like, for example, operations,
Yeah.
financial performance, or strategic planning?
I think the whole value builder system has introduced us to the idea of SOPs and systemizing. That's something that we have definitely adopted.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's easier said than done. It's not the easiest thing to do, but we have taken our first steps on that journey now of systemizing things. I would say that has had a positive benefit, because actually we are now starting to re-educate our staff on where to find that information, and you know, the management team sort of below us are being encouraged to point, you know, the rest of the employees to SOPs instead of, you know, taking up their time constantly in managing them. So that's been a benefit, definitely. I'd say the other big benefit that we've had is the focus on recurring revenue. That module in particular was really, really valuable for us. We had a budget review meeting as a senior management team yesterday, and actually recurring revenue was a focus in that as well. Just going through that particular module has changed the way that I personally do the financial reporting. So where we've looked at the lifetime value of clients, the acquisition costs, etc., they weren't metrics that we were tracking before. So my financial reporting's changed to track those metrics, which is fantastic. For the first time, we're sort of publishing to the rest of the management team the acquisition costs for clients, which I think focuses them on how important it is to keep the clients within the business. So yeah, and also I've put in a tangible target for the management team based around recurring revenue as well. So it's an increasing target throughout the financial year. It's different to our budget because there's other revenue coming in to the business, but it's that steady increase that I'm looking for in recurring revenue now. Because yeah, we understand how important it is to the value of the business, really.
And I remember that, as you mentioned, that it was kind of a new beginning with the new products that you have. And of course, then there were conversations around vulnerabilities within the company sales, because obviously we didn't want the turnover to be affected while we're sort of executing the transition. And we had a review of the sales and marketing process. How did you find all that discussion around that?
Yeah, I think it's all really, really valuable stuff. You know, if I'm completely honest, it's stuff that we know that we should be doing that we haven't particularly mastered yet. It's an ongoing journey, but I think having a focus on it is really important around sales and marketing. I think one good sharp focus we have had from the consultation sessions is looking at our mission and what we should be talking about in our marketing message and all of that sort of thing. That was really valuable. And the sessions that we had around you know, what makes us unique, and your assistance in drawing that out of us was really, really valuable to sort of add into our marketing messages, and things like, you know, just suggesting a bit more of a human touch on our website, and let's create some origin videos and things like that. It's all stuff that we've implemented and we're getting some really good feedback on.
Yeah, because I think it was important to have the company's core purpose, unique proposition, because that then dictated longer term which products and services you were going to have as part of your new strategy.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly. And just keeping focused on that and not being distracted by things that weren't central to that purpose and mission, you know, having having that focus is definitely a big positive of the process.
Yeah, and I know that personally with yourself, one of the things you did mention to me is how going through the value builder system has changed your perspective in terms of hiring and recruiting, especially, and
Yeah.
basically because of the exercises that we're doing, we're clearly starting to define the types of people we want to work for the organization who are in line with company values, and of course delegation. So can you speak a bit more about how it's affected your recruitment and your kind of delegation tasks?
Absolutely. I think quite early on, actually, we got into the detail of, recruitment, how very difficult it is to recruit really good people that can just slot into the management team, especially as we're in a niche business. We can't sort of recruit for the actual skills that we need. But we had a session where we really explored the behaviours. So you guided us to look more at the behaviours of the people that are really successful in the business now. And it sounds like such a simple thing, like why didn't we look at that before? But just having that guidance and somebody to say to us, actually, what is it that all of those people that you really can rely on and trust and do a fantastic job in the business, what have they all got in common? And we still have those words front of mind today that focus our recruitment efforts, definitely. And yeah, in terms of delegation, that was an incredibly thought-provoking module, I think, and made us realise that we still had quite a bit of work to do in delegating effectively, and just bringing front of mind that people like to be communicated with differently and delegated to differently, but then each of us have our own styles of delegation as well. And just knowing that and understanding that has had a really positive effect on how we're distributing jobs within the business.
Yeah. And has it helped in your sort of delegating tasks to others? Because I know that you were pretty swamped, weren't you, really, for a long time with the changes and trying to momentum in financial. So how did it kind of help you in sort of delegating some of your tasks and kind of the importance of that and looking after yourself day to day, of course?
Yeah, I think one of the big, one of the big positives is when you're sort of working within the kind of value builder framework. We've really enjoyed passing on a lot of the knowledge to the rest of our senior management team, and certainly when it came to that delegation module, just having the permission to open up that conversation with the rest of the team, and well, I guess giving myself the permission to think about delegation in a different way, and how focusing on how necessary it is, as opposed to being something that you need to be apologetic about. I guess, passing on some of your workload to other people. It made me realize how necessary it is. So yeah, as a real positive action that came off of the back of that, the two senior managers that I work closely with, our ops manager and our delivery manager, we've kind of created what we're calling an account delivery role between the two of them. It's a layer that sits between myself and the people dealing with clients day to day. So I've kind of delegated some of that senior responsibility down to them, and they've both got some fantastic complementary skills that is acting as that buffer, really, which makes my day to day an awful lot easier, but is actually utilising their skills and their experience, and that's working very well.
Yeah. And of course, during the process, there was, as I mentioned earlier, this transition process where although we knew what the roadmap was in the future in terms of products and services, there was this period of time where we had to make a decision on certain revenue streams that we could have utilized. And it was quite an uncomfortable time for a little while. And then we kind of came out of that. How did you kind of find having somebody there just to kind of help guide the kind of firefighting mentality that's there at the time?
Well, that's absolutely invaluable. I think having an objective third party, you can't you know, you can't put a price on something like that, especially when there's sort of two of you trying to work out the issues and the problems, and you're both coming at it from a very different viewpoint. I think sometimes the only way that you can get to the right answer is by having a third party that is objective, that can look at things in a very different way and takes emotion out of the decision. So yeah, that you can't put a price on something like that. That's incredibly valuable.
And just another question. Going through the value builder process with me, how do you think this has impacted your kind of decision-making process and your kind of longer term vision for the company? Has that kind of been impacted with the knowledge and the experience and the
I
kind
think
of
we refer to it an awful lot in our decision-making process, I would say. You know, even down to, you know, you're talking about future growth of the business. It's and in our budget reviews yesterday, we're talking about whether we need to focus on the EBIT and net profit of the business, or actually we need to have one eye on the turnover and what are the pros and cons of both. And they're the kind of discussions that we'd be having with you. And yeah, it's probably something that we wouldn't have even thought of before, but at every step we're now thinking, well, okay, we're introducing a new process, we need to be making sure that it's written down, that it's systemized. You know, if we've got a student who's leaving us to go on a placement in September, so from the minute she's joining us, right, let's write everything down, let's standardize this, let's make sure that it's ready to hand over to the next person, so that knowledge isn't all kept in one place. It really is becoming weaved into everything that we're doing, really, business.
and I mean, obviously, one of the reasons why Andrew and yourself have hired me is because I'm the guy that's keeping an eye on how these decisions are impacting the overall value of the company in terms of making it as sellable as possible. So how have you found that my kind of input in terms of that, just to make sure that we're going in the right direction and that we're always adding value? We've always got the acquirer's perspective in mind. How's that kind of helped you guys in the day to day?
I think it's again, I think it's absolutely priceless to have that kind of or that kind of vision on the business, because when you're you know, you're obviously director of a business, but we are very operational in our day-to-day jobs, and we have had a tendency to be making decisions very reactively in the past, and you know, based on the needs of one or two particular clients, and actually when you have a third party that's always got their eye on, you know, the real top level strategy of the business, you know, it even gives us permission to sort of step away at those points and think, actually, before we jump 2 feet into solving a problem one particular way, you know, what would Zach say? Or, you know, we'll give you a call to say, what would you say? You know, is this the sort of thing that we should be doing? And you know, obviously time will tell how that's going to pay off for the business, but I can only see it having a positive effect on the eventual sale.
Great. So just finally, I just wanted, because I mean, obviously you have a stake in your own in the company as well as a shareholder. You know, and in the future when we look ahead, so how do you envisage the value builder system helping you with our ongoing partnership? And how do you feel that it will help eventually in preparing for a successful exit?
Well, I'm very much hoping, and you know, part of the driver for using the value builder system, I'm very much hoping that it's going to make an eventual sale of the business a lot smoother than we've heard about some sales being. You know, I think when you start to explore the whole topic of selling a business, you do tend to hear some horror stories. Even listening to the Built to Sell podcast, you know, there's It's recognised that there is a huge period of stress when you're selling a business, etc. And I think the idea of using the value builder system gives us confidence that that will mitigate that stressful situation, that, you know, we will have done everything that we possibly can to make any kind of eventual sale as smooth as possible. You know, in terms of getting the due diligence done as easily as possible, making sure there's no skeletons in the closet, making sure that everything is documented and ready to go, and there's a clear story behind the growth of the business, and that it's all being done in a very positive way. But I think even before we reach that stage and realise that value, it's all stuff that a well-run business should be doing anyway. So I think even before we get to the stage where we're selling the business, it's helping to set us up in a way that's going to help us to operate more efficiently and in more of a focused way. So I have no doubt that it's going to help grow the business anyway.
And I've always found that getting involved early in a business, well before they want to sell, allows me to really familiarize myself with the business, therefore ultimately do a much better job after having sort of pieced it together and made it as sellable as possible. What advantages do you see in that? You know, the same person that's helping you through all of this is also has the understanding to when you need to go to market and find acquirers. Does that give you more confidence in?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said, you know, it's I think it's nice that you will be there to have the confidence in us as well. You know, you will be guiding us to the point where you say, actually, guys, you're ready now. And at that point, you won't just be somebody that's just dropped in, that's just looked at it from, you know, the shell. You'll know us warts and all. You'll know what we've been through. You'll know how we've overcome that, what we've set up. And you know, you will give us the confidence to know that you'll let us know when we're ready.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, look, Louise, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Thank you for your kind words.
Right. Yeah, no, it's all good.
I'm kind of very excited about the journey as well. I mean, I think you guys have made great progress, really fantastic progress. And, you know, I've no doubt that the business is going 100% in the right direction. Been really pleased with the way you guys have adopted everything, taken it on board, gone off and really kind of, you know, really literally changed the whole organization. It's been amazing. It's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's been scary, and it's still you know, we still feel like we haven't quite found our feet yet, but we're definitely getting there. And I think, you know, for us it is nice to have that kind of check-in point where there's just some structure that we can go back to, because sometimes it does feel like it's all just whirring around in your brain, but actually to have that dedicated time, just the two of us, to look at something that's more structured, that's going to bring us back down to earth, is yeah, it really does help. So
yeah, and I mean, you know, most clients that I act for, it's the first business that they're selling. So, you know, that journey, they've not been through that before. Obviously, you've heard the podcasts and things, and the mistakes and the good things people have done in the past. But I think that's the real key to the value builder system. It kind of sets the path, the direction we need to go in. We can measure things. We can see what the score is at the end of each year, see how closer we're getting, look at the value of the company, just make sure we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Louise. I really appreciate that.